I quickly want to ask you because recently you were explaining the whole journey about your father was your mentor, your business partner, and your best friend. And through it all, there's a whole beautiful story that I want you to tell us, and we must talk about, the grieving process of it all.
Yeah, so like you said, my father was my everything. He was not just a typical father-son relationship in terms of, there's sometimes a little bit distant between a father and a son, especially when you get married. But
Yes.
over the years, we actually grew even closer and closer together. We were also business partners, so we lived a few kilometers from each other, and we really did life together. We went hunting, fishing, do business over weekends, braai together. So we were truly living life, and we didn't see each other for maybe a week. We will still kiss, greet each other,
Oh,
and
that's
that never
amazing.
stopped. I mean, when our kids are small, you hug them and you kiss them. But when you grow older, you feel, okay, that's a little bit weird. It never felt weird because, I mean, that's how close we
Yes.
were. 2022, he was diagnosed with brain cancer, very aggressive cancer. At first, we only thought, listen, okay, it's going to be a tumor.
Yes, and it's going
He's
to be
going
fast.
through surgery and they will remove it and he will recover. But the type of cancer was glioblastoma cancer. So that's really the most aggressive cancer. And the doctor told him, from his opinion, he said, Chris, just enjoy the last months with your family. But my father, he's a fighter. He usually would stitch himself up. He's also a dentist, so he will stitch himself up. So he's a fighter. So he said, no, let's go see specialists and see what they can do for him. But when that diagnosis came through, I did some studies and I actually realized then there's actually really no hope. It was strange, and in the beginning I didn't realize it, but I actually from that moment on started to grieve his death. Even though he was still alive,
Your disbelief.
my disbelief, at a point I couldn't get myself actually even to pray for him. It felt, listen, I'm going to put hope on him being to survive the ordeal, but I couldn't. And
So denial.
I fully denied it.
Yeah,
Well,
totally.
I accepted the fact that he's not going to make it, but I denied it. And I'm a business owner, and I mean, life goes on. So I really forced myself into a stage where I told myself, no, I'm okay. I'm going to block it
that's the
out.
thing, yes,
I don't
yes.
want to live with him saying, listen, this is the last time we're going to do this or that, because if I did that, the emphasis was really the whole time on, okay, this is the last
last time,
vacation because he will pass away. Started off with very aggressive chemotherapy and radiation, just took it in and really from his side battled on, tried to make sure that we are okay. And it was tough. It was really tough for me as a son, seeing your everything, your dad, your superhero, going from business partner, dentist, running his own practice because he couldn't anymore. Since the diagnosis, we had to close down his practice. To see him actually lose some eyesight, he couldn't speak properly anymore. The later stages, of course, we decided not to put him in hospice, but to take care of him at home.
Yes, and to be there.
And to be there and present,
Yeah.
so that we can spend the last days. But that was tough, because you know what is coming. Well, we know to a certain extent. We don't know, but I mean,
Yes, and you're expecting the worst, obviously. But I had that same situation with my father, but I think for men, it's a total different story because I know you have a beautiful story and you were actually depressed at some stage because you went through this whole thing with your dad. And what advice can you give people?
some of my biggest mistakes was not be honest with myself in terms of how I really felt.
The
Because
grieving process starting from there.
Exactly. I told myself, no, you are okay. If people ask me, how are you doing? I told them,
You're
no,
okay.
I'm fine. I'm strong. But I wasn't. You don't actually really know after that trauma how you've changed actually as a person. It was about 16 months after his death. I came to a point and I said, listen, I cannot carry on like this. I felt also far away from God. I used to give class at our church for the grade 1s and grade 2s, but I even stopped doing that because
okay, so
I
you-
really
yeah.
felt, listen, there's some distance. 16 months after his death, I realized, listen, I need to do something. A counselor told me, listen, maybe go spend some time alone. Go find what you're looking for. And I took that advice. I decided to go to Kuba Island in Botswana. I've never been there. In the course of 2 days, I collected all my camping gear and off I went to Kuba Island. It was always a beautiful place that my father he explained to me how beautiful it was. And in one of his letters, he actually asked us to aim at rest at a baobab tree. Now, we couldn't do that, but at Kuba Island, surrounded by a salt pan, so there's nothing, and for hundreds of kilometers, and in the middle, there's this baobab island in the middle of nowhere. And I drove there, and I did some intentional stuff. Like I took a picture of him and myself in a frame. I placed it there on a table. I got a book where I was writing all my thoughts. But then I met God really there. And in the beginning, I was still not honest with myself because I felt God is asking me to speak to him. And I said, oh God, I've got this grief. I've got all these things. And he said, no, Christiaan, you're not honest with me. Be honest with me. I know you. I know who you are. From that moment on, I let loose. Luckily, it's in the middle of nowhere. So the screams and the words, but I got something out. And I journeyed there from tree to tree, speaking to the trees, meaning I really verbalized myself. And to your question, I think that really helped me as a man, because normally we keep silent to what really actually emotions we are feeling. And the people around us, we will just tell them, listen, I'm okay, because you almost want to protect them. Yes. You need to be strong for them because they depend on you. But it's not good for us men. We really have to let it out, and let it out at home. But more importantly, be honest with yourself when speaking to God, because then only you can release what you have to release when you are honest. From that moment in Kuba Island, I put all the writing I did, his picture, and a knife of him in a box, and I buried it under a baobab tree. And since that moment, it was really in a moment. I'm a very, very practical person, so I need facts. So I'm very factual. So for me to say, listen, from that moment there was a change. There was really a change in my life. How I felt afterwards, I could think of my father, the history that we've shared. Prior to that, I didn't watch any videos of him or anything really that remind me of him, because that was the whole time a reminder of a very painful emotions. But from that moment on, I got better.
Closure and answer.
And really healed those very sore wounds that affected me as a person and a husband and a father.